Well, hello and welcome, everybody. I'm so excited to be here with you today. Today is December 16th, 2020, and this is your Team Prosperity meeting. This is actually going to be our last meeting for 2020. You know, we're deep into the holidays now, and just a really exciting time. So what I wanted to do is I put together a little slideshow that I wanted to go over, and then Mike's got a great presentation for us, and I can't wait to see it. So I know a lot of us are still staying really busy, and we're finishing the year really strong. Last week we were at this leadership retreat, and I've got a few pictures for you. Mike's going to go over some of the key things that we learned, and we were really blessed to be able to bring our son. You know, ultimately, this is a family business. So, you know, it was really special that we didn't have to miss it because we couldn't get a babysitter. But anyways, I'm hoping to see all of you leaders here in these pictures with us next year. And even if it's not the leadership convention, we definitely want to meet up with everybody once, you know, all of the guidelines for travel slow down. You know, we would love to see all of you all. So I really want to talk about, you know, finishing this year strong and building momentum into 2021. 2021 is going to be our year. You know, we're really taking over, and it's a really, really exciting time, and I hope that you all are as excited as I am. I'm going to bring up Mike. He's going to go over some of the key things that we learned on the leadership retreat that we wanted to bring back to everybody, and that we feel you would get a lot out of. So give me just 1 second to get him. Thanks.
All right, you guys, hope everybody's doing well. Obviously, if you're having any activity for the business, you understand right now that a lot of people have already checked out. In December, they're writing the year off. They're ready for 2021. Obviously, like Alana said, this is going to be a big year for us, but don't stop activity, but understand the place and the time that you're at right now. So during the holidays, if you've got stuff that's not direct activity, if you've got some things that you want to change, you want to get organized, whatever you need to do, this is a great downtime to do it. Great time to revisit some of the books and really concentrate on a plan of action. Remember, without a plan of action, your action plan is basically to fail. So what do you want? How are you going to get there? It's all the same stuff that we talk to the partners and the clients about. You do like a little bit of a self-inventory, figure out, what you want, how you're going to get there, and a plan of action, and then we'll help you execute that plan of action. Like Alana said, this is the end of the year wrap meeting. Obviously, we've got about a third of the normal people that we do. So we're just going to close it down for the year as far as the Wednesday team meetings. And the next one after today will be January the 6th. And we talk about this continuously. Wednesday at noon Eastern, odd time for a meeting. There's so many other meetings going on during the week. This is the time that we picked. What we also do, though, is we make sure that we've got it in a format where it can be, in the Facebook group. It can be emailed out. It can be put in the YouTube channel. So in case you've got partners or yourself can't make it live, information's always there. A couple of the things that we want to think about when you're reflecting on the year, obviously it was a weird year, a lot of turbulence from many different directions. But, I try to add stuff as I go along that helps my life get easier. And a lot of that comes from automation. And the two things that I think this year that have really helped me and I've enjoyed having on my side, obviously Helper. I'm not talking about the original Helper. I'm talking about the workflow campaign level Helper 2. For my message sequences, it's done a great thing for me because now I'm not having to do those. I'm responding back to the messages that actually come to me, and I'm getting the messages out continuously, which is helping fill up my calendar. If you're not using Helper, we've got videos that can help you install it. We know how to use it. If you have any questions, just let us know. And the other thing that I've really enjoyed for myself and my partners and my clients is Calendly. When you've got the professional edition, you've got some things that, you've got 6 events that you can put in there. And then you've got the auto, follow-up emails, text reminders, all of these things. So I can just send out a link. You've got a client, you got a partner, you need me for 15 minutes. and stuff just starts to fill on the calendar. So between Helper 2, the workflow campaign, and Calendly, the ability just to give people links that they can use for themselves or other people, those two things have, been great for my business this year, and I'll continue to add more and more stuff. There's other stuff that I put in this year, but I think those two stand out. 12-week year, that's one of the things I'm going to be revisiting over, the Christmas holiday, getting ready for the new 12-week year that we start in July. That along with 10X, I think I'm going to get through both of those. But the one thing that I did want to talk about the 12-week year is that all of you guys, your partners, everybody goes through this. It's called the emotional cycle of change, but it's really, in my opinion, I relate it directly to the business. So when you've got a partner or yourself coming into this business, it's a great business. It's a lucrative industry. It's a distribution model. You've got all these things, so you're super excited. That's called uninformed optimism. You're just excited about the opportunity. Hey, I see this clearly. I want to be a part of it. I want big things out of it. Well, nothing in life worthwhile is going to come easy to you. So what happens is as you start getting into the business activity, you start to learn a little bit more about the human psychology, people let you down, all of these things that now create informed pessimism. So you start to get a little bit worried. Hey, this is a little bit harder than I thought. My calendar's not as full. Get a little bit of rejection. And then that can ultimately lead to the valley of despair. You've got two choices down here in the valley of despair. You quit, where most people do quit, or you fight your way out of it. I've been here. Alana's been here. Anybody who started a business has been here. And this is a determining factor. Are you going to fight back or are you going to give up? Because if you fight back and make it through this, then you have hopeful realism, informed optimism, and then you can break out into that expectation and success side. Understand if you're here right now in this business, we've all been there. You're going to have to fight your way out, and it's a temporary place to be. Now, it's a permanent place to be if you're just going to give up and quit, because what's going to happen is you're going to start the next thing. You're going to start the whole cycle again. So understand you got to fight your way out down here, and there's some things that we can help you with, but mostly it's about having a positive attitude, staying clear to your vision, and understanding what you're trying to do in the trenches day to day. You're going to have good days, bad days, really bad days, terrible days, whatever it might be. But if you look from like a macro or a bird's eye point of view, you see your business growing. It may not be growing as fast as you want it to, but it is growing. So don't get stuck down here mentally and not be able to escape. Ultimately, you guys, that whole cycle right there is telling you one thing. You're going to have to go through a survival period. Survival periods are tough. You're going to look around, and maybe on the island, some people have already left. And maybe some people on the island turn out to be not what you expected them to be. But ultimately, you're in control of your own destiny. So the survival period, once you make it out of that, there's some other parts to the business. But this is the main point. If you can get past the survival period for your business, you're going to build something, and you're going to look back on this. And, guys, if you talk to any successful entrepreneur, they're going to talk about the valley of despair. They're going to talk about the survival period because that's what made them, not the success they're experiencing now. That's an outcome of being able to go through this. You're going to have to trust yourself, trust the business model, trust that when you see other people becoming successful here, that it's possible for you. And that trust really equals consistency and time. And when you have the consistency day after day after day after day, and you're putting in that constant activity, and you actually give it some time to compound, your business is going to start to build. And in a business like this where you're going to build teammates as well as clients, other people are going to come in, and other people are going to be helping you, and other people are going to buy into the mission and the vision, and the collective group of all you guys, on a positive note, working, active, learning from each other. It creates massive distribution. And when you talk about the products and the services that we have, they're in high demand now, whether people know it or not. During this whole time period, the survival period, if you start to panic, it's called panic management. And all that's going to do for your business is going to create hesitation. When you create hesitation for yourself, you allow yourself to start to drift mentally and justify why maybe you can't do this or maybe why it's not going as quickly as you want. Panic management is the worst place to be because you're going to start making short-term decisions, and those short-term decisions are going to crush your long-term goals and dreams. Not taking personal responsibility and blaming others. Things aren't going well, guess what? It's on us. If our pipeline sucks, it's on us. If we're not closing clients, it's on us. Whatever's going on, the first person that we look at is in the mirror. We got to take personal responsibility, got to lead the way, got to fix ourselves. Lack of activity will cause panic management. Poor financial situation will cause panic management. And lack of a plan will cause panic management. And we talked about panic management leads to hesitation. Hesitation leads to drifting. Drifting leads to quitting. Quitting is the only surefire way that you're not going to reach your dreams. So you solve all of this with a legitimate plan of action that you put into place day after day after day. If you're doing what you're supposed to do, everything else will take care of itself. Now, the time that it takes you is going to vary from person to person and team to team, but ultimately, if you have a legitimate plan of action and you execute that plan of action, good things are going to happen. Stay dialed in and don't allow panic management to set in. Remember, things that you see around you that aren't supposed to be happen all the time. So, something growing up through what seemingly looks like concrete with a little bit of dirt there, that's a tough place for a plant to grow, but it was able to get that done. So what does that mean for us? Well, if you have lack of focus and you have lack of positivity, it's going to equal issues for you, your business, your relationships, whatever it is that you've got going on. This business works. It's been proved, and it continues to be proved over and over and over again. So ultimately, it comes back to us. We got problems. We got to fix ourselves. There's issues. We got to look in the mirror because it all starts with us. Remember, we talked about this. If you're going to build massive distribution coast to coast, and it starts with that spark, that flame that you are igniting on your own, you have to come back and revisit, do self-inventory. And that's why things like the 12-week year will really help you guys understand, creating a vision that will propel you, but it will also help you understand what's important to do. What should I be doing every day? But it also, as importantly, tells you what should I not be doing every day. Don't panic, organize. You can see this is a great, picture to kind of help you guys understand. When you panic, you're going to make bad decisions. When you organize yourself, you're going to make good decisions. When you organize yourself around a team, collectively we'll make good decisions together. Remember, more progress that you have equals less stress. And as your life goes forward, you want to have more money and you want to have less stress, right? You want your life to be easier and you want to make more money. That starts with understanding how you're going to get there. So the progress that you're making, no matter how minuscule you might think it is right now, reward yourself. Take your time to say, hey, I'm making progress. It may not be the progress that I wanted at this point, but I am moving the ball down the field. Boring makes you money. And in this time of, virtual and all these digital platforms, everything wants to look, fancy and everything wants to be technical. But if you really boil down your plan of action for your business, it's the day-to-day stuff that we call monotonous and we call, routine. Boring makes you money. And what that means is that the daily activity that you're doing day in, day out is probably going to be labeled as pretty boring, but the collective nature of doing that over time is going to lead you to where you don't have to do some of this stuff. It's a progression, but you're not going to get to the end point without getting off the starting line. And then, guys, remember, we talked about this, the ferocity of the follow-up. Follow-up is going to separate a $50,000 earner from a $500,000 earner. There's not much difference. There's a big difference in income, but there's really not that much difference between those two people. Follow-up is one of those differences. And then methodical in your approach. Are you just winging it? Are you very structured? And are you doing the things every day that are the same? Are you just kind of whatever you feel like doing that day, doing it? Because follow-up and a methodical approach is going to separate you from the crowd. You are in the business of contacting people in the very beginning. You're going to move to management. There's going to be some other things that you need to take care of. But in the beginning, your number one priority is to let people know you're in business. Ask some questions to get a yes or no answer. That leads to some videos. You get through the day and you haven't even asked one person the question on the partner or client side. How can you ever expect your business to grow or to get a pipeline or to get past the learning curve? So understand that if you're saying what you need to do or what you need to say enough every single day, you're going to build a pipeline. You can't help it because what we're going out in the marketplace and solving financial literacy, how money works, debt to wealth, all of these things, it's needed. We're not trying to manufacture demand for our products and services. You're just trying to let people know that it exists, and as an educator, put them in a position not to be sold something, but to make a buying decision. Your personal plan is so important, because as people come in, they're going to wonder what you're doing. If you can't explain to them in a clear and concise way what you're doing, it's not really something that somebody can follow as far as a lead. So 12 to 15 appointments per week. Well, what is an appointment? Appointment doesn't have to be necessarily a client. Appointment doesn't necessarily have to be a partner. What classifies as an appointment is someone with a reason to do something. That's an appointment. So if you're talking to somebody and they've got a reason to do something and you identified that, that's one of your 12 to 15 appointments per week. Doesn't matter if you're talking business, if you're talking product, that's an appointment. You fill your calendar up with appointments every week, pipeline builds, follow-up, conversion. Really not that hard, you guys. And that reason to do something is their why. And without the why, you do not have a sale. Without the why, you don't have a qualified partner. So until you find that why, you need to stay on there. Now, if you're with somebody and you're just kind of probing and asking questions and trying to figure out the why, and you get to a certain point where there is no why, it's time to move on, because the why is the propelling factor that's going to get somebody to buy a product or service from you, take that necessary jump to become a partner. Without that, there's no reason to take the next action step. So don't move forward until you found the why. And if you find yourself not able to find the why, then it's time to move on. On the client side, understand that we are mission-driven, that we're focused, and we do get results for clients. So when you understand that, you can kind of come from a position of power, because if you know you can help somebody, it's just the point of getting in front of the people who want to help themselves. That match of you being able to help and them wanting to help, that's how you make sales. That's how you create a business. That's how you create a brand with a lot of success stories. So financial literacy, we talk about this. People are financially illiterate, so we need to go help them. We need to teach them how money works. We need to understand that just like everything that we're trying to do with the plan of action, financially, if you want to get to a certain place, if you don't want to be like everybody else has ended up, you need to have milestones that you achieve. You need to have building blocks that you build. And that's where we come in with everything that we do from our side. On the distribution side, it's important that your clients or your partners, have activity. We can't do anything to help them without activity, but outside of the activity, we can set up metrics to try to help them. So what are we trying to do in the beginning, building distribution? We're trying to help somebody build 3 whys. And then you guys know, not everybody's going to make it in this business. You'll have a percentage of fallout. You have a percentage of retention. And out of that retained sample size of the population, people will do a lot, people will do a little, people will do, it's going to be a mixed bag of results. But ultimately, your job as a leader and as a partner, if you help people build 3 wide, see if we can get one of those people going 4 deep, because now you're locking this person in with almost an ownership-like quality early on, because instead of them thinking about what they can possibly do, now it's about possibly what they might be left out from being involved with. So you lock people in early through an ownership-like approach to building this business. If these other 2 fall out and a couple of these fall out, you still got this person locked in because they've got a leg that's forming. They've got an office that's starting to build. So in the very beginning, understand for you and your partners and be open and honest. This is what I'm trying to do for you over the next coming weeks. I'm going to try to go 3 wide and 4 deep. Do you understand that? Do you understand why we're trying to do this? When people understand why you're trying to help them do something and what the meaning of that is, they'll mostly fall in line and go along with it. You've got a bunch of people with a bunch of different backgrounds, with a bunch of different unique specific goals and different points of the life cycle, but ultimately, you guys, we're a team. And team goals are just a collection of individual goals. So if you got a bunch of people and all those people are reaching their individual goals, guess what? Team goals are going to be hit, bonuses, equity, all of these things that you guys are looking for will happen for you on a distribution level if you can help people on an individual basis get to their goals. Now, you can't help somebody get to their goals if they're not willing to work for it. Can't help people get to their goals if they don't have a plan of action. But those people that do, you want to work with them and help them achieve. Also, the income calculator is a great way to forecast. Remember, if I want a number, if I want $500,000, if I want 7 figures, it's a lot easier to get to that number and then reverse engineer that back to what I need to do to get there. So the income calculator is a great vehicle for vision, for clarity, and for motivation. You want to make sure that if you're looking at the distribution, that you concentrate on your office, your home office, or your base, whatever you want to call it, plus your first generation. We get paid 6 generations deep. 2nd through 6 will take care of itself. You work on creating a strong home office, and then out of that home office, first generations will come out of that. You've done your job. That will be passed and paid forward, and you'll have this. But you don't want to start forecasting early on 6 generations deep because you have no control over that. You have control over your base shop and what that produces. Leads. So when somebody asks where do we get our leads from, well, first thing I want to know is if they're in any type of a sales business, well, where are you getting your leads from right now? One of the biggest misconceptions in financial services is that you need a lead vendor. And a lead vendor is basically like an abusive relationship because one of 2 things happens. Either the leads are terrible, or if the leads are halfway decent or good, there's not enough of those to go around to build a business on. And then you're not in control of your business. If you have a good relationship with a lead vendor and they're gone, guess what? Your business has been crippled. You want to get into the habit of learning how to create leads and teaching other people how to create leads. And when you come from an educational standpoint and perspective, it's a lot easier to go out there and open conversations because you're not selling something. You're educating people, leading with free information, giving our time away to help the right people form buying decisions. So our leads come through a variety of different ways, but it's basically opening your mouth, asking questions, sending videos out. Our business is not hard. I think it's the psychological traps that we set for ourselves that make this hard. So leads will come if you open conversations. If there's no conversations open, there's no leads. And if you're the type of person that says, I need a lead vendor, well, like I just talked about, that's not going to be a relationship that's long-standing, and you're probably going to run through a number of them on the front side where they basically just rip you off. Using no leads or not having money to invest in my business or not having a lead vendor as an excuse not to open conversations is the same exact excuse as, saying, hey, I don't have a gym membership or the gym's closed, so I can't work out. You can work out at home. You can do some push-ups. A lot of things can be done at home with absolutely no equipment. Same thing here. If I want to create leads, I can. If I want to work out at home, I can. It's up to you guys whether or not you decide to use yourself as a motivating factor or yourself as an excuse not to do something. You're an educator, and that gives us a position of power. I'm not selling you something. I'm educating you because most of the population doesn't know what we're trying to get across. And once the mind has been open, it's not going to retract back to where it was. So the education, the information, the knowledge that we give out is going to get you into a position where you're able to help the people. And we're helping the people that want to help themselves. You are an educator on the front side. It will make conversations a lot easier when you understand what you're trying to do. And when people ask you what you do, you need to have a clear, concise answer, because if you go on a long diatribe about this and that, people basically pass the first few seconds. If you haven't caught their attention, they're not going to listen. So what do? Well, I teach people how money works, or I'm helping build a company that teaches people how money works. Most people are financially illiterate. This information was never taught to them. The rule of 72 right here is a quick little rule of thumb that if you're earning X percentage divided by 72, that's how long it's going to take your money to double. So if I'm earning an 8% rate of return, I expect my money to double in 9 years. Well, guess what? Rule 72 also works against us as well. So just like if we're paying, 24% on a credit card, well, guess what? Now we're helping the lender double their money every, 3 years? So the rule of 72 either works for us or against us. This is the type of stuff that we need to go out and let people know. Also, your lead generation, if you're doing the right thing for the client and you're providing value, then you should be getting referrals or introductions to additional people that you could help. If you're not getting referrals or introductions based on what you're doing, You're probably just not asking for them or not asking for them in the right way. Most people ask for referrals too soon. You must, and this is an absolute must, you must establish and you must provide value. Until you provided value, you can't go any further, because once that value has been provided, it also has to be recognized from the other side, and then you ask for the referral. It's very important you guys understand this. Once they understand that they are able to recognize the value that you provided to them, it's a lot easier to help them understand why it's important to help the people around their little inner circle that may need help. Very easy question here. Who else do you know and do you care about that needs to know this information? And then just shut your mouth. And you're going to just write the names down, because, we've got some educational material that we give away, ebooks, real books, whatever it is that you're doing, videos. But at the core of it all, if I've helped somebody in front of me and they're excited about their financial future, who else do you know and care about that needs to know this information? And then understanding that lead generation comes from the build-out of management. Management is a process of planning, decision-making, organizing, leading, motivating, and controlling the human resources, financial, physical, and information resources of an organization to reach its goals efficiently and effectively. Well, what does that mean for you in terms of lead generation? When you reach management, there's an unlimited lead referrals coming in from new partners who need your help. It doesn't stop and it doesn't dry up like a lead vendor relationship can. If you build out naturally, people come in, they don't know anything, they need your help. They got people they want to talk to, but they need help. Guess what? That's lead generation at its best. And also, if you guys are handling like the financial services side of the business, the insurance side of the business, understand that if somebody needs to designate beneficiaries on a form, did you know beneficiaries can be lead opportunities if you create the conversation correctly and send educational material as a bridge. We're trying to build a business for someone, not a job. We're trying to build a business that serves their life instead of vice versa. So what you're trying to do is identify people that this business can actually help and it makes sense for them. The ideal business formula is to build a business around your life that serves your life, not the other way around. So when we're out there talking to partners, the one thing that's very frustrating on a build-out of a business like this, if you bring in partners, they don't do anything because you've invested time, energy, resources into them. What you can is you can learn to disqualify those people. We talked last week about the side hustle. How many people are in the side hustle, how many people make basically no money, how many people, 50% were on the sidelines still thinking about what side hustle to do. This is an economy where, people are on the move, and then we've got all this gig economy, side hustle. People can continue their day job and have an opportunity, a legit opportunity to build a bridge and create that bridge to walk over to full-time entrepreneurship. We've got it, but they've got to fall into the right parameters. They've got to fall into the right qualifications. They've got to be the right type of person that we can help, because if not, it's a waste of our time and their time. Risk management, guys, when you're talking to people, you have to address, identify, and assess risk. That's what we do. There's a risk reward to every decision that we make. There's a consequence, good, bad, or ugly, to the decisions that we have to make. So when we're talking about risk, we can manage risk, we can eliminate risk, or we can ignore risk. What are we going to do? There's questions that we have to ask, and there's times that we have to be quiet when we ask those questions, uncovering pain points, uncovering motivating factors, making sure people know that, what they've been doing up to this point has not been working. These are the type of things where we can't just gloss over. We've got to make sure the other side understands that regardless of which way they choose, A, B, or C, coming out of this meeting with me, there's going to be consequences to those decisions. Risk is one of those consequences. What do you want to become? That's what we want to know. From the outside, on a partner side, what is it that you're trying to accomplish? What do you want? And then secondarily, are you willing to pay the price to get there? What price are you willing to pay to get there? And Grant Cardone, I think, says it best. You got to pay the price today so you can pay any price tomorrow. If you've got a partner that's willing to come in and do the necessary action steps give it time to compound to get where they want to, and they're willing to pay the price. As far as skill sets, as far as backgrounds, as far as industry, that's secondary to me. I want to know the first, like we talked about. Until I find a partner's why, I'm not going forward. If I can't find the partner's why, we're not going forward at all. And in a situation like this, you're going to have, like I said, good times, bad times, really bad times. You got to stay even keel. You can't get too high. You can't get too low. But if you believe in something, and guys, I 110% believe in what we're doing, then you should bet big on it. And if you're going to bet big in your professional life, that's basically what you're putting your time, your energy, your actions, everything behind this. I believe in this. If you believe in this, bet big. And then you've got to learn how to disqualify. I was talking to you guys about this a couple weeks ago. It's not about building this basket or throwing out this net where you're trying to qualify as many people as possible. You're actually qualifying people by disqualifying them. Hey, just to let you know, just so we don't waste each other's time, I don't work with people who, A, B, C. And then what that does is if that is that person, they recognize that it's a filter. You don't waste your time. But also they're saying from the other side, hey, I don't want to be that person. That's not me. None of that's me. And then you can work with the people who actually deserve your time, not just need your time. Same thing when the partner comes in. The partner fits into what we want, and they come in, they don't do anything. They may have questions. They may need your time. Your time is valuable. You have to get a return on that time. You've got to work with people who actually deserve it. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't care how many steps it takes to get to your end goal. If there's no action plan, there's no stepping stones, there's no roadmap, guess what? You're just going to wander around in circles all year, and you're not going to find yourself this time next year anywhere close to where you wanted to be. So what are your biggest business goals, priorities for 2021? I put this in the Facebook group, and it's just something to reflect on. What do you want to see happen in 2021, and do you have a detailed plan on how to get there? If you're rolling into January without a detailed plan, well, guess what? You're with the rest of everybody else that's, basically hoping for a good year, praying for a good year, but there's no plan of action. There's nothing there of substance that's going to get them where they want to go because you got no plan and you got no goals. As a management perspective, how am I going to help you? We need to start this year strong. And we all, January comes around, everybody's got New Year's resolutions, everybody's got big goals, big dreams. By February, March, they're already done with that. They're watering it down. I'm asking you guys, this is going to be a year of extreme growth and a year of extreme separation in terms of the crowd, the high earners and the low earners. So you need to start strong, and you need to put your head down, and you need to keep going. You can have an incredible year, probably the best year of your professional life coming up, but if you don't have a plan of action, if you don't have the activity, if you don't have the education, and you just don't have the grit to make it through whatever period of time that you're in, including that valley of despair survival time, then you're going to quit. And all those people that quit, they're going to be looking back at the people who actually made it, and they'll justify their reasons for quitting. Oh, that person got lucky, but they don't know the blood, sweat, tears, the activity, the hours that you put into this business. It's there for the taking if you want it. But you've got to want it bad enough to put in the work to get there. So, guys, I hope that this kind of helps you get to a point in time where you've got, a couple weeks left in this month, in this year. Don't, totally cut out the activity, but understand during the downtimes, do the things that you need to do to get ready for the new year, and let's crush it together. I'm not excited next year unless I have a lot of you guys at a similar position with us.
That was a great training, Mike. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and then we'll open up the floor for questions.